Okay, as much as I like to move on to more uplifting, happy things, I feel that it is time to do something that I felt like I would never have to do. But because people keep provoking me and poking the bear, I feel that there is a level of clarity and a level of confession that needs to be made in order for this to stop. It is April 2024, and as of a few days at the end of March, I was getting harassed and basically stalked on social media, on my social media pages by different social media pages that was created for the reason to stalk me. Okay. These pages are made from my sister and her husband, my middle sister and her husband, and I really don't have any kind of connects with them. I don't keep in contact with them or anything like that. But her husband, and I'm thinking my little sister too, keep making fake pages, threatening people, putting people business out there, making shit up, and just plastering it all over social media. And it's crazy because what they chose to do was run and hide from their hometown into another state, make fake pages and harass people. Like, at this age, I don't want to have to, let me just get this right. I don't want to have to talk about this type of shit. Like, I just feel like this should have been left years behind. Like, it should have just been swept under the rug. It should have just been forgotten about. But because it's 2024 and you're still doing the shit, like, they played on my phone, my text messages, they played in my emails, on Facebook, on Instagram, on TikTok, and I'm sick of the shit. I am sick of it. So today, I'm making this series, and I'm going to just expose and confess so the shit can stop. I remember when I was in my early 20s, and I was with my little sister and her friend, and we was at the mall. It was East Point Mall, and that's when we first saw him. This is the love of my little sister's life. She was about was she even a teenager? Maybe probably 14 or something like that. Me and her we're 5 years apart. So if she was 14, then I was 19. And I was with them. That's when I first saw the guy that she fell in absolute love with, supposed to look like Chris Brown. And I feel like she gave her soul to him. I'm not going to try to put out too much of their private business. I just want to put out when it started to relate to me, okay? All I know is even in those times, he used to dog my sister out. Like, he would deal with girls that live on the same block, talk to them, right in front of my mom's house where my sister lived. Like, he was super toxic then. And I'm not sure why my sister didn't leave him alone a long fucking time ago. I can't say that me and my middle sister ever had the tightest, closest relationship because she internalizes everything as being a victim. Like me, I'm a prankster. I was a prankster type of big sister. So I did little things one day it was a bumblebee that was in my window and I told her I had a bee ring. It was dead. And she went and picked it up and brought it to me and I told her it was a real bee. Shit like that. I feel like at this age, we should be just sitting around talking about this shit, laughing at it. Not being internally victimized and carrying the weight of, oh, they hated me. And I don't understand that type of Virgo trait, but my son is a Virgo and she is too. And seeing how people could just literally be trying to correct the behavior that you have, you'll take it and run with it and act like somebody hates you and turn it into something else. It's just the weirdest shit. And I'm thinking for her to turn out like this, maybe the way my son is the way she was. Because half of the shit that we went through as children when it came from me to her, I feel like we should be laughing at that shit. Like, one time I farted in her face. Like, even though that's fucking disgusting, as children, like right now, she could be like, oh, you so fucking disgusting. But we should be laughing at that shit. Like, they did things to me that I feel like was a little bit more detrimental because it was life changing. Like, I had every Barbie under the sun. I had like Brandy Barbie, Pocahontas Barbie. I had all the Barbies. And on top of that, I had all the clothes, all the accessories, all the cars. One day I came home from work because I was like working at McDonald's. As soon as I turned 14, I got me a job. Came home from work, went in my middle closet. My Barbies fell out the closet, assassinated, annihilated. Like, these was Barbies that I had from when I was a child and I was a teenager, like at 14, still playing with these Barbies. They could have been collectibles to this day. And when I tell you they severed my dolls' heads off, colored on my dolls, they cut their hair, all this shit. And that was super traumatizing to me. Super, like, that changed my life because that was something that I would come home from work and look forward to playing with. No one ever got in trouble for that. It was just like I was supposed to get over it. But did I wear that as oh, my family hates me, I'm a victim of this? Like, yeah, that shit is still like a sore inside of me, even when I talk about it. But at the end of the day, like, I grew and I moved on. You know what I'm saying? So I feel like some of the things that happened between us, because my mom maybe was not able to kind of like mediate conversations or to speak for us. She didn't speak for us in a positive way, that it didn't positively affect the dynamics of our sisterhood. You know, I have two sisters, and the thing is, I have a different father than them. So before, you know, I was the only child for 7 years. Things was all right. Things was good. I was spoiled. I got everything I wanted. My sisters came. It changed the dynamics a lot a bit, because their dad wasn't my dad. Even though he helped, you know, it was some changes that I had to literally go through. But at the end of the day, I grew through them. Okay? I grew through them. I'm not sure, you know, of what my mom's mindset was as like a teenager to an adult. But all I know is her family dynamic was that she was a only girl, and she had two older brothers and one younger brother, all surrounded by brothers. I can't imagine what my grandmother, their relationship was, because my grandmother had two sisters, you know, and she was a twin to a sister. So it's like, you would think that someone that would have that dynamic would know how to have a girl, and she would nourish her daughter so that the daughter would be able to do the same thing and it would flow down. But something did not happen. It didn't happen at all, because the twist and tangle of the relationships that didn't get a chance to bloom definitely trickled down to the dynamics of me and my sisters. So I know this is going to be a multiple part. I'm going to try to do like maybe a few parts a day, okay? Because this is going to be a series that's going to heal people, but also expose people for who they are. But ultimately, I just want people to heal from these family problems and traumas and understand what to do with them if being faced with attack like I am, and being stalked by people whose husbands of your sisters. Like, that is not okay. It's not acceptable. You should not have to ever deal with that. And I'm dealing with that. I'm the oldest sister, so I should not even have the disrespect coming from this male that I don't even affiliate with. He has no blood connection with me. Why do you feel that you have the authority to even come and keep on talking to me and stalking me and checking my pages. And part 2, Confessions of a Big Sister. So in our teenagehood, you know what I'm saying? Like I said, I was always 5 and 7 years younger or older than my sisters. My middle sister, I'm not sure what she used to do during the day. I think she used to go somewhere. But I remember it was a time that me, my youngest sister, and my middle sister's boyfriend at the time, which is now her husband, we was watching TV. And this is almost like he had this thing with him ever since he was young. Like, we could be chilling, everybody having a good talk. Then he'd just like heat up, like out of nowhere. Like, he'd just turn a good thing into something bad. And he just started calling my sister all types of fat bitches and shit. Like, I did not like that at all. And that's like, for me, I would never be with anybody that treated me like that. Like, I would get rid of you instantly. What I saw from my little sisters, they would take that kind of shit. Like, they would allow these types of guys to get second and third chances. Now, at the time, my baby sister, I don't even think she was like dating or anything. And she was going through whatever she was going through. And that's the reason why I'm like super protective of her. And we didn't have like any type of men or males like that around in our family. Like, my male cousins is like, in our family, the family has been taught to have your little family and then separate from the rest of the family. It's the weirdest shit ever, but like, that's how everybody chose to do. The only time people come around is when we have like funerals, or maybe like we used to have cookouts and stuff like that. But I'm gonna tell you, I don't even think that has anything to do with our family, because over time, like the black families that were tight and close like this, I just feel that something else disconnected us, because we was plugged into the point where we would have family reunions, people coming from Virginia, South Carolina, you know, all these places, New York, to come down here to Baltimore, and we would have our family reunions and stuff like that. We had family in Boston. Like, I remember, like, our family, and that's where they was from, like, D.C. We still, like, my grandfather is from New York, so his people is from, like, Boston and DC and all that. My grandmother is from down south, so all our people from like Virginia, South Carolina, stuff like that. So when we used to have our reunions, they would just come from north and south here to Baltimore, and we would have our reunions. But I really feel like that is the big hand of the powers that be, the elite people that did not like to see black families get together. Because I had a friend that told me, a white lady, I'm not even going to say it was a friend, but she was like, yeah, y'all used to have family reunions, but like, that shit sickens me, but that's another story or whatever. So along with that, we have our own demise within our family, you know, along with the helping hand that we have from out there. We then also have consciously people within our family who also will lead us to a demise. Because this motherfucker, he just didn't know that I was going to take up for my sister. Like, you ain't about to call my sister out her name. I'm pregnant. Like, my stomach was out to here. I couldn't fight him. So, and my mother boyfriend was like in the room. I told him, and he didn't do shit. So I waited till nighttime came. I went to sleep. Well, I didn't go to sleep. I fucking went and got a big knife out of the kitchen, and I fucking stabbed 2 of his ties up in the middle of the night, because I knew he had to go to school or to work or whatever. And that was what I did for my sister. So he was mad. He knew I did that shit. Like, I heard him when he got up, he knew I did that shit. Like, so he knew he was fucking wrong. These are the type of men that take advantage of women. They know, you know, your family ain't nothing but women or whatever, and they ain't no good. They will fucking come around and predatorial, you know, predatorate over your family. I don't even know a word for it, but it's weird. So what's crazy is, like I told y'all, I was pregnant with my son. I was 18. they had a big influence and a big impact on the way my son is now. My son is 20 years old. And as you can see in these weird ass cryptic messages he just left on my page, on my Facebook. I get on my Facebook and this shit, he just left a message like on 5 or 6 of my posts, all on my mother posts. This is what I'm talking about. That is why I'm making this video. Because this man is wacky. Like, I'm minding my business on my TikTok, making my videos. I don't think that they like when I get attention. When people like my videos and males start liking it. Like, him and his wife, my sister, and her husband do not like when I get any attention. So I feel like because I was making my presence known, regardless if I was talking about them or a fucking $2 bill, they didn't like it. And this male went on my page and just posted that fucking nasty message everywhere, all over my page. He don't care if you talk about children, nothing. That's why I said I really feel like a wellness check needs to be done to their house because they have 3 fucking children. They just had a newborn. Like, I met him and we was close before they left and went away. But if you got all this time to make all these pages, because if y'all look on my pages here, like, he's been doing it on my TikTok, on my posts. They stalk like, how much time do you got for your own life if you doing this? And am I the only people that you doing it to, or are you doing it to everybody that you hate? And if that's the case, then your life is surrounded by this type of shit. But anyway, let me try to get back to my original story so we can get up to where the build up. So yeah, my son, I feel, had direct impact with them because for me, like, that was my first son. I loved my son. I spoiled my son. And I noticed, like, my little sisters, they used to call my son, like, names, like, call him out his name, degrade him. He little, like, and I know they wasn't that old, but it's like they was toxic as hell young. Like aunt should be like trying to, come on, nephew, let me take you to the store. It just was never that dynamic that I was used to seeing. Like, me, like, when I was a kid that age, like, I took care of kids. Like, I would go to the store, we'd play school, but I have all these snacks and shit. Like, I was taking care of these children. So I don't understand when you get a certain age. I would just think that it would directly correlate, like, hey, any kid younger than me, I'm putting under my wing. But some kids be so traumatized from what they've been exposed to that they never get a chance to be that role model. They like bullies. They're, trying to torment the next younger kid. And that's how my sisters was. They tormented my son. Like, they cracked on him, they did whatever, but all in the same token, my son always felt like they was the same age and appropriate enough to where if I punish my son, if he did something, that he could call my mom and make her feel sorry for him. And they would literally come to my house, pick my son up, and take him to their house, put him in a bath, make him feel like he didn't have no type of consequence for anything he did to his mom. And that separated us, our relationship. Not to mention, after I had him, and I'm going to tell you this now, this is why I said I do forgive my mom. I'm going to say some shit that is going to trigger some people but it's the truth. It's my truth. And this is why my life, I always kind of redact to my history, my origin, so that I can understand where I am now and what's going on now. That's how I make sense of shit. I go back to the origin of shit. I follow back, and I know what I'm saying is fucking true because it's a direct, like, some of the things I'm saying right now is a direct outcome of all of these things that went on in the past. Like, come the fuck on. My son was a premature baby. He came out 3 pounds, 14.6 ounces. So at the end of the day, if anything he needed was me, his mom. My son needed his mom. 3 pounds, 14.6 ounces, and you want to put me out on the street? That is the reason why my son is the way he is. The connection between me and my son was never, ever really held in a safe place. And that split is the reason why my son has a disconnect with me right now. So I'm going to continue this story into part 3. And then I'm probably going to stop for today because I know it's going to ruffle some feathers. I'm not trying to. I just want to get. So part 3, Confessions of a Big Sister. I did record this the first time, and I don't know why TikTok is acting so slow, and it deleted my video, and that is so, I hate that, because it's like I was on a roll. Well, because me and my son had, that kind of disconnection during the birth and everything, when he came home, I kind of like, just wanted to be around my son. I wanted to be around my son as much as I could. I did not breastfeed. One of the things I wish I would have did was breastfed him. And maybe that would have been like the last thread that held us together. And I'm not saying like right now, none of these relationships are remendable. They are. It's just that I'm trying to get the story out. Okay. So, growing up, my son was, of course, the youngest in the family. I had my sisters, and then when my sister got her boyfriend, that's now her husband, they've been together for a so long time. I never even looked at the detrimental impact that he could have had on my son all the whole time. The thing is, the dynamic it was like my mom, I don't think she was fully mature or something, because some of the ways that she handled things, it was almost like kiddish. Like, if I tell my son something, and I'm now living in my own household, you should act as a grandma. And like, it was almost like, I don't know, some grandmothers make the dynamics worse. Like if I punish my son, if I whipped his ass or whatever, he would call her, or she would call him. They would talk about it. She would come and pick him up and then take him from my house. And then he would be up there with my little sister boyfriend, that's now her husband, my mom, and whoever else was up there. And they would manipulate, like my son would talk and tell. Apparently, he was able to manipulate not only my mom, but also my sisters and her boyfriend. My sister's boyfriend was never good for my family, never good to be around my son at a certain age, because he was like a foster or one of them children that grew up in a group home. So he could never tell my son anything that would help him to be like, to listen, to be obedient to his mom or anything. I feel like he also had a big chunk in just how my son is. Like, I don't know how much damage was being done because I wasn't cognizant of it during that time. I was in also survival mode. I was in fight or flight all the time as a teenager. My life just wasn't like, after a certain age, it just wasn't like growing up at home, because it was a lot of things. Without trying to, turn this into something else or whatever, to spare other people's feelings, I'm just trying to get to the point of and stay on the main road of my story, of the point of my story, which is to expose my little sister and her husband, because they keep harassing me. Like, they keep sending me weird messages. They harass my emails. They harass my social media pages, all of them. I'm just sick of them. I want them to stop. I don't care. Like, they went away, go away. I don't give a fuck. But at the end of the day, I always still love my nieces and my nephew. And I know they probably did their big thing on psychologically training them to not like us, the rest of the family, who knows, to think like them. But I really fear for them, because for me to have to go back and dig into my past just to make what's happening now make sense, because adults are fucking just putting shit on my page that I feel like they want to be exposed. So let's fucking expose everything. Her husband has never been right in the head. He was like one of those people that was rejected by his own parents, and he grew up in a home. So if I was my mom knowing that my daughter attached herself to that type of male, I would have did everything in my powers while I could, even moving, whatever, to keep my daughter away from that. I don't, like I said, mindsets were not where it should have been at the time, because he would have never even been able to procreate in my family, knowing the type of background from him. And even with the father that I had, like the father to my son, my mom should have never let me procreate with him, because all of these people are obsolete. And it seemed like the males right now in this time period, in this era of spirituality, truth, and confessions and all of that, is mentally breaking down. Like her boyfriend, husband, or whatever, he has that same P. Diddy type of energy. And just like you see P. Diddy plastered everywhere, his energy is just reaching out and causing chaos everywhere. Like, I would not even be thinking about this man if he just literally wasn't in my inbox trying to act like a white man that got a house in Alaska. Like, it's almost like he like me, really. He obsessed with me and he want me, but he don't want to say it or something. It's just weird. Like, and he's not honest with his, and I would never, like, even still knowing that, like, yeah, it's some weird shit. But anyway, to just redact back to my story, I'm sorry, guys, but yeah, mindsets was never right. And I feel like that had played a huge impact on my son. Boys are going to be boys. They are going to, go through the things that boys go through naturally, but with added help. I feel like my son was never on balance to be the kid that I needed him to be, to go to school, to just be in class, to just do your work. It was always problems with my son. I always gotta go get him. I can't, if I got a job, I gotta stop my job because I gotta go get him for something. I was never able to maintain any fucking thing. And if you go back to the first part of the video where I shared the message that he left on my Facebook, it says that my son and my daughter are going to drag me to hell. So literally, like I told you guys, I've been in a spiral of homelessness like 3 or 4 different times in my life. It felt like a spiral that I keep getting better. And then these people are wicked. And I believe that they have been dabbling in shit for as long as I believe. Now, I was into tarot and candle magic and all that shit. But guess what? I did it to enhance my own life, to understand my life, to be able to heal, not to do anything against anybody else. Because a person like me, if I don't fuck with you, I'm not wasting my energy on you. That, like, if I don't fuck with you, to sit here and talk about you is still fucking with you. It's still like putting me and your name in the same sentence in the same room. I don't give a fuck. Like, I just want people to know, like, the type of person I am. If I don't fuck with you, I don't give a fuck what you doing. I don't care about you. I'm not talking about you. Like, none of that. Like, life goes on beyond people I fuck with. And that's how I carry it. Like, I maybe something recall, like, that remind me. I'm not spending time doing it. So, like, me sitting here making this compilation of videos is just to literally air this shit out. I don't give a fuck what's going to happen, but all that shit going to go back to them. I'm tired of them. I just want them to leave me the fuck alone. They got their little, what they wanted to do when they moved the fuck off where they wanted to move off of. Leave me the fuck alone. Keep my name out your mouth. Like, keep my... But I know that's not going to happen, so that's why I'm making these series of videos. And I'm sorry that I had to have an explanation during this third or this fourth video. I'm just going to name it the explanation of why I'm making these videos, just so that you guys will know. And because I keep on going backwards in my mind thought while I'm trying to move forward in explanation, just so that you can understand that this is not malicious, but it's affecting my whole life, my children, everything. I just want it to stop. And I know it's going to stop, but I want people to also understand that I don't give a fuck if it's your family, your friends, somebody, your best friend. People are wicked and they are mental, like, you can't see what's in somebody's mind. People are mentally unstable. So if you see somebody doing something weird and off, believe it. That shit is real, is how it looks and how it sounds, because this is my sister and her husband that is doing this type of shit. So even though I'm early in the story, we're going to go ahead to part 3 of this so that I could give you the final part for the day and give you a little bit of background information as to how it led up to where it is now and why they're leaving these messages everywhere spontaneously whenever